What's up, guys? Theo here, coming to you with a prediction for Aliaskhab Khizriev versus Makhmud Muradov. So right now, Khizriev is a minus 150 favorite, and the comeback on Makhmud Muradov is plus 120 on DraftKings. And guys, I already took a 2-unit play on Khizriev here. I'm actually pretty surprised that I had not heard of him, given the amount of MMA I watch. Before this, I wasn't familiar with him. I probably saw his fight on Contender Series, but that may have been the only fight that I saw from him. But I didn't know what to expect going in when I taped this guy, and what I found was he's an absolute monster. I mean, it's very rare that you see a prospect that is this level of skilled. Even coming out of Russia, a lot of Russian prospects don't appear to be as skilled as Khizriev is. It kind of surprises me that a lot more people are not talking about him, and that he is the line is really close on this. Just really surprising to me. I think there's a ton of value on him here. When we see him fight, I mean, this guy is like the middleweight version of Khabib. You know, people are going to say that's a bit of an exaggeration because he doesn't seem to have quite the amount of power and the aggressive striking that Khabib has. But when you see this guy take people down, I mean, the only person I can think to compare them to is Khabib. The way he's taking guys down and absolutely brutalizing them, beating them with vicious ground and pound. There is several times, if you go through and tape this guy's fights on the regional scene, yes, against low-level fighters, but against fighters that they're a master of sport in combat sambo. You know, some of these dudes, they don't have great MMA records, but some of them were quite credentialed combat sports people, and he takes them down and beats them up. And there was one case where a guy was shaking, holding his head on the mat after Khizriev was pulled off of him. So when people go up and fight this guy, it looks like they are having the worst time of their life. He's brutalizing some of these people, and when he gets to your neck, it's absolutely over. This guy has submitted a lot of people very, very quickly, and he's very, very good at it. And what I'm seeing from him that I really like is I'm seeing a fluidity and a finesse with his grappling that is very, very rare. I'm seeing this guy do things, yes, against low-level competition, but I'm still seeing moments from him where the grappling that he's using is even more sophisticated than what I have seen from Khabib. I mean, he is stringing together judo and combat sambo and traditional wrestling in a very fluid and very effective manner. So I like everything that I'm seeing from Khizriev, and like I said, I'm very surprised that this fight is lined so closely and more people are not slamming this. I've got 2 units on him based on the fact that while Makhmud Muradov is very good, and at one point in time he was on a very long undefeated record, Makhmud's not really that guy anymore. If you go back and you watch his recent tape, he really has not looked the best. Yes, he had a decision where he put a clinic on Bryan Barberena and beat Bryan Barberena by decision. But guys, Bryan Barberena has always been a very low-level UFC fighter, and he's not of the same pedigree as Makhmud Muradov. So you expect to see Makhmud Muradov beat Bryan Barberena. The other thing is that Makhmud Muradov has been struggling in his last few fights with people that apply grappling to him. I mean, he was getting out grappled by Caio Barajo, who is not even really a wrestler. He's just a jiu-jitsu player, and he spent a lot of time on his back, and he was struggling in a lot of those transitions. And this guy got submitted by Gerald Meerschaert, who Gerald Meerschaert is a great submission artist, and he has been known to pull submissions out in a very crafty manner. But if you're struggling against Gerald Meerschaert, who he was a minus 585 something favorite against Meerschaert and got submitted like that, and then got beat by Barajo, and then beats Bryan Barberena. Guys, Makhmud Muradov is not that guy anymore. He's not this dude that was on this he's not this scary Russian that was on this undefeated streak. What we see from him is really good technique, and I like Makhmud Muradov's technique, but that's kind of all he has at this point, you know? He is sniping people, but the thing is that when he lands shots like he did on Bryan Barberena, he's not knocking these guys out. He's not knocking them down. He's not doing severe damage to Bryan Barberena. And we've seen Khizriev get tagged a couple times, but guys, the only time we've really seen Khizriev get tagged at all was against Denis Tululin, and what he was doing was he was trying to exhaust Denis Tululin, and then he took him down in the second round and submitted him in a very, very quick manner. And a lot of people think that Tululin like dropped him in that fight. Tululin did not drop Khizriev. Khizriev slipped trying to do a flying knee on him. That's what happened. And then he got right back up, wrestled him down. So I'm seeing extremely high fight IQ and extremely technical grappling from Khizriev. I mean, I think this guy could be a future title contender. I'm hesitant to say champion because he hasn't gone up against super high level of competition yet, but I think he will do well against them when he does, and I think he will do well against Makhmud Muradov as well. I just don't think at this point in Makhmud Muradov's career he's going to have the power or anything like that to put Khizriev out. And when we see Makhmud Muradov grapple, he's using almost more traditional wrestling than he is using like kind of Russian sambo or judo or stringing things together like that. Makhmud Muradov is not one of these like crazy Russian Dagestani guys. He's not that guy. A lot of people kind of think that he is. And, you know, I'm willing to bet there's a lot of people that are going to pick him in this spot. In fact, I know one very, very respected gambler, Lucrative MMA, who I do believe is the best MMA gambler on earth right now. I will say that without hesitation. And he's on Makhmud Muradov here, and I just don't see it, man. I got to go with my gut. Even though I do see people I respect picking Makhmud, I don't see how he wins this fight. I took a 2-unit play on Khizriev, and I also took a 0.25 unit play on a prop, which I do not do very often. I don't like props, and I'm not good at betting them, so I don't do it frequently. But I do think Khizriev is going to submit Makhmud Muradov or potentially TKO him, so I took a chance on a parlay submission or TKO by Khizriev. The only thing I'm really worried about in this spot is honestly the fact that Makhmud Muradov gets hurt in like every single one of his fights. He had 2 head clashes against Brian Barberena. There was an opponent before that eye poked him. I think it was Mearshar eye poked him. And then before that, he got like head poked and head bashed and eye poked in like the same fight. So something about the way Makhmud Muradov fights, he seems to put himself in positions to get hit with like groin shots and eye pokes, and it just seems like this dude is getting hurt constantly. I don't know if he's trying to like play a game with it. I don't know if he's trying to win himself time to recover or something. But I mean, you know, don't get mad at me if Makhmud Muradov ends up winning this by some kind of like weird fluke DQ. But based on what I am seeing on tape, I think Khizriev is going to completely outclass Makhmud Muradov here. And I think minus 150, I mean, that's insane value on this guy who looks like the next freaking middleweight version of Khabib. I mean, for God's sakes. So, yeah, give me Khizriev all day here, guys. I can't wait for this fight. I'm really excited to see what happens here. And I'm really excited to see what happens with Khizriev in the future. So, keep it locked in. Going to try to get the rest of these main card picks out before the end of the day. Later, guys.